In today's news, BVI reports additional COVID-19 case and investigations into 2020 martyrs remain very active.
Rotary Club Sunrise launches Power of One and 50 persons benefit from grant proposal training. All this and more when 284 News returns.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Welcome everybody. It's Wednesday, October 14th, 2020. We are coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands, of course, where BVI love reigns supreme. I'm Ron Grant.
And I am Kyla Kenesha Forbes. I'm definitely excited to get into this edition of 284 News.
Yes.
We have so much to get into, but of course, before we do that, we have a quick summary of all that is going on right here in the British Virgin Islands.
Murder suspects have been released, of course, in regards to a few murders, and of course the laws being drafted to restrict older vehicles from coming in.
And we see, Ron, where a returning resident have tested positive for COVID-19, now bringing the territory's total to 72. So we're definitely going to get into that later down in the newscast. And also, over 10 bars were approved to reopen with strict protocols, including no mixing and mingling. So that's definitely a big deal right here in the Virgin Islands.
Yes, at a recent groundbreaking ceremony, it was announced by the government of the Virgin Islands that Virgin Gorda and Carrot Bay are also scheduled to get a new market. So we're going to continue to follow that story as much as all that's happening.
Most definitely. So let's just jump right into it. Straight, the BVI has now reported an additional case of COVID-19. It was confirmed that the patient is a returning resident who has recently returned to the territory of the Virgin Islands. Now, Minister responsible for Health, Honorable Carvin Malone, explained that the patient tested positive after undergoing a routine COVID-19 test that the BVI requires persons to do before they leave quarantine areas. Now, she was immediately placed under quarantine and has not interacted with anyone in the community. Minister Malone explained, and I quote, "She didn't leave quarantine, so the system has worked perfectly in terms of what it is intended to do. Many persons in the community, due to the current trend of the government, of course, were quite worried that this positive case would, one, revert us back to a stricter curfew condition." And Ron, that's definitely something that the BVI has been quite fighting about
Yes.
for quite some time, and also two, a bit of pushback of our border reopening. So these are two facets that the BVI people were worried about with this confirmation of this new case. But Minister Malone explained that this is not the case. He said, and I quote, "It does not change anything. We have our protocols and different things in place now because we have to learn to live with the fact that we are not completely out of the woods yet. The fact is that we would be getting cases from time to time," end quote. He continued and said, "It is important to impress we continue to do all that is necessary to make sure on opening we would not have to retract any of what was done. And we are in a good place that we understand the challenges that business have. We understand the challenges that individuals who would like to travel freely have. But throughout the world, it continues to be a challenge on this. But we are coming to grips with it. All the infrastructures required to deal with COVID has been mainly put in place. And we're coming out with a package that will give us structured and responsible opening." So this is coming from the minister responsible for health, basically telling persons that we will be moving forward with the reopening. So today,
Terrific.
the BVI has reported 72 cases of COVID-19, with 1 case being currently active, 70 recovered, and 1 dead.
Kyla, great news coming from the Minister of Health to reassure the general public that the concerns that they have that we would automatically go back to a lockdown will not be happening. I'm happy to see us moving in that direction, and we wish the case that's presently active speedy recovery.
Most definitely.
Continuing on the local scene, this week is being observed as Fire Safety Awareness Week with a focus on prevention. This year's theme, Smoke Kills, Be Fire Safe and Fire Smart. Now, in spite of the COVID-19 challenges, the Virgin Islands Fire and Rescue Service remains committed to residents in observing fire safety practices. Yesterday, I sat down with a fire chief, Mr. Zebulon McLean, alongside acting lead fire officer, Mr. Winston Farrington of the Virgin Islands Fire and Rescue Services Unit, to discuss all things fire safety. Now, among the many concerns discussed were the dangers of backyard and outdoor burning and what should be considered as a community in this regard. Take a look.
We are obligated to respond when we are called. So if you have persons who are burning something in their yard or on their land and it's affecting someone else, we have to go. Mr. Farrington has been with crews numerous occasions where we've had persons who have called because the smoke was just too much for them to bear, to the point where it was affecting their health. If you have a piece of land and you want to burn something, it's your land. You can do whatever you want to. But as soon as the smoke begins to affect someone else, then you are responsible. You're responsible for controlling it. You're responsible for putting it out. And if you don't put it out, we're going to have to come in. We are backed by the law. We cannot refuse to respond. So no matter what happens, and we understand the arguments. We understand that person says sometimes they can't get a truck to cart some of the stuff away. Sometimes it's just a little bit. Whatever reasons they have given us, we fully understand. But on the flip side, you have persons whose health is being compromised by inhaling all these particulates. And when you burn things, sometimes you have all manner of different material in there.
Of course.
And when these things combine, these chemicals can be fatal if inhaled over a long period of time. So one of our concerns is indiscriminate burning. And it's something that we've been preaching for decades. And we would really like persons to consider the health and the comfort of their neighbor. Because it's not easy. Your house is where you retire to for solace. Your house is where you retreat from the world to get some sort of peace and quiet. Your house is where you have the place where you call your home.
Yes.
And with smoke in the furniture, smoke in the curtains, smoke in the clothes, smoke in all the rooms, it's not comfortable. We've had persons who've literally had to run from their homes with either a family member who has an asthmatic condition and whose life would have been threatened if they had continued to inhale any of the smoke. So that is the issue that we've been addressing, that we're going to be addressing this week, that we want to continue to put special focus on.
All right, and that's dangerous, of course. Viewers, that was Chief Fire Inspector Mr. Zebulon McLean. Now, the Virgin Islands Fire and Rescue Services continues to carry out its mandate of protecting life, property, and the environment through a proactive approach to continuously enhance the quality of services provided. For more information, telephone the department at 468-4268 or 468-4182. Now, still ahead, Kyla, 50 persons benefit from the grant proposal training. We have all the details and so much more after a word from our sponsors. Viewers, you're watching 284 News.
How does financial services benefit the BVI? It's been around for more than 3 decades before the World Wide Web and is now part of the everyday life of our islands. More than 2,200 people are directly employed in financial services, and another 3,000 jobs are supported indirectly. Jobs are corporate service providers, lawyers, insolvency, accounting, banking, insurance, regulators. That's almost 27% of the national workforce. Of those, more than 65% are BVI landers and belongers. What about restaurants, supermarkets, or shops? Well, 100% of people eat. So, they buy food. They buy swimsuits and shampoo and cars and power tools and plantains and fish and roti and pates. Financial services employees buy painkillers and lots of beer. Then there's electricity and dental floss and toilet paper and pretty much everything else. And everyone needs a roof over their heads and a place to do business, so we all rent or buy from a local landlord. Housing and office space alone means millions of dollars into the pockets of BVI families. At the end of the day, everyone benefits, including charities who receive thousands of dollars every year. And more than 60% of all government revenues come from fees paid by financial services. This money is spent on schools, roads, ports, scholarships, the environment, health, sports, children, youths, and the elderly. Financial services contributes more than $290 million to the BVI economy. That's more than 30% of all economic activity is driven by financial services. This creates thousands of jobs all across the islands, meaning more people have a way to earn a living. What does financial services do for the BVI? Let's just say it keeps our lights on. Financial services is everybody's business. So, come on, mind your business and let's not keep this to ourselves.
Viewers, welcome back to 284 News. Now, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, in a statement issued on October 14, 2020, said the investigations into the 2 murders of 2020 remains very active. On October 13, 2020, which was yesterday, it was reported that 4 individuals were arrested but not charged in connection with the 2 murders of 2020. One person was arrested in connection with the murder of George Burroughs. Now, Burroughs was shot in his home in Purcell Estate by an unknown assailant on September 2nd. This ordeal was recorded as the first murder of 2020. Then 3 persons yesterday were arrested in connection with the murder of Matthew Daly. Approximately a week after the first murder, Daly was also murdered. His body was found unresponsive in the Spring Gut area. Now, this morning, the 14th of October 2020, the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, in an issued statement, reported that all the individuals held were subsequently released. It said, and I quote, "The Royal Virgin Islands Police Force can confirm that the 4 arrested yesterday in relation to the recent murders inquiries have been discharged pending further investigations. Both inquiries remain very active." Ron, we see where the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force is at work as it pertains to the murders of 2020, both unfortunate ordeals. And we see where the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force is really putting in the work. And although we would have hoped that something would have come out of this, we see where they're still working and investigations are still going on towards these 2 murders. And we'll see what happens after that.
Most definitely, Kyla, as we know in these cases, such cases as this, timing is everything. And so we continue to employ residents of the Virgin Islands who may have any pertinent information regarding either murders to please contact the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, and they continue to assure that all information will be kept in the strictest of confidence. Now, continuing on the local scene, officers from around the public sector and leaders from the territory's community-based groups have received training on best practices when applying for grant opportunities. The group was trained to ensure success when applying for programs such as those offered under the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility Small Grants Program. Now, the training session was facilitated by the Department of Disaster Management with funding from the Community Disaster Risk Reductions Fund of the Caribbean Development Bank. This was also the first portion of the workshop series and provided information on the best practices for public officers pertaining with community-based organizations. It included topics like community engagement, advocacy, and inclusivity, and was conducted on October 5th and 6th. Community development specialist with the CDB's Community Disaster Risk Reduction Fund, Mr. Ricardo Aiken, guided the workshop remotely and said that in the face of increasing threats from climate change, COVID-19, and other hazards, it's important for the community groups are included as part of the region's broader efforts to build resilience. He said, and I quote, "We recognize that public resources are limited. CBOs plays an important role in the overall resilience of all states served by the CDB. This workshop will help CBOs in the British Virgin Islands improve their operations generally, and we hope to strengthen their activities when it comes to disaster risk management." Now, the second portion of the workshop was held on October 7th and 8th and was geared toward executive members of CBOs. The session covered areas including action planning, accounting, and resource mobilization. All participants were led through the RIF-SPC Small Grants Program application process. Now, DDM, Planning and Preparedness Manager Ms. Shania Armstrong, said that projects proposed as potential partnership between community groups and the public sector during the workshops reflect the strong relationship that already exists in the territory of the Virgin Islands. Ms. Armstrong said, and I quote, "Many non-government organizations and community-based organizations in the territory are accustomed to accomplishing projects together, as in our Smart Communities initiative. It is encouraging to see that the workshop participants have great ideas to further this partnership." Now, RIF-SPC Small Grants Program provided grants of $5,000 to $25,000 to Caribbean CBOs for projects related to disaster risk management, engineering, climate change, adoption, training and capacity building, and environmental management initiatives, and directly reduce a community's vulnerability. Kyla, as we continue to move forward towards the trajectory, we have a lot of nonprofit, non-governmental organizations that could really use this level of professional development and training. I would trust that each organization that was a part of this, with some 50 persons, were able to benefit and would really take back these lessons and really incorporate it into their organizations. I think whether non-governmental or not, organizations, nonprofit, really have to continue, because it's a tall order. When you look at a nonprofit organization, many of them with limited funding, they're doing a lot with very little. So the more training, the better, and we continue to wish them the very best of success.
Most definitely. Now, still ahead, Rotary Club Sunrise, that is,
Yes,
launches Power of One. Now, stay tuned for all those details after this quick commercial break.
The win! Oh!
What are the hell?
I'm freaking out!
Is time.
284 News.
coming to you live and direct from the beautiful British Virgin Islands.
What's poppin', what's really good, what's happening, what's up?
Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Is business slow, cash flow down, hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.
Viewers, welcome back. Now, before we go to the Rotary Sunrise, the launch of the Power One program, we do have a story before that where you may have remembered where Honorable Kai Reimer, he called to bring some restrictions to older vehicles, the importation of them last year. So we see where Honorable Kai Reimer, the minister responsible for transportation, announced during a live interview that his ministry is now drafting the legislation that will make it more difficult for persons to import vehicles that are 10 years or older. Honorable Reimer made this announcement during an appearance on Honestly Speaking, the radio show on October 13th. Reimer said the Customs Act will likely to be amended to make the restrictions legal. He said, and I quote, "We have been looking at older vehicles, left hand, right hand, and we are working on legislations that at this moment to restrict the importation of vehicles after a certain age. If you still want to import them, the duties would be significantly higher," end quote. Ron, certain older vehicles are frequently imported by residents because, of course, of its affordability. But on the downside, many of these are not fuel efficient and emit a large amount of carbon dioxide, which contributes to global warming, and we definitely do not want that. We see also where Reimer explained that a ban on older vehicles are necessary because the BVI does not have a proper disposal system for derelict vehicles. We saw last year the Department of Waste Management announced that it was still experiencing challenges with a number of derelict vehicles since the 2017 hurricane devastation in the territory. The host of Honestly Speaking asked the minister if the government would consider placing a full ban on older vehicles instead of just restrictions. In response, Minister Reimer said a full ban is not being considered because many people import older vehicles for personal and sentimental reasons. He said, and I quote, "You give the option because there are antique vehicles as well. You may see one that is 10 or 15 years old and you may still want to have it as an antique. So you give persons that option." This is what Honorable Reimer explained. He said the legislation would give different rules for trucks and heavy machinery that are usually durable even after 10 years old. So we see where the ministry responsible for transportation is moving ahead with this legislation. We're definitely looking at global warming, but also it's been quite a task the government has to do with basically the disposal of derelict vehicles.
I agree.
So we see where that legislation is being put in place.
Well, the conversation of trying to curb the amount of derelict vehicles in the territory has been one task. I know the Honorable Minister, present Honorable Minister for Health and Social Development, has taken that mantle and really pushed. But the most recent point in the story is one of importance where the Honorable Minister said at the end of the day there has to be an option for persons. Yes, you're going to amend the legislation so it makes it more difficult, but at the end of the day, I think it's fitting, like he said, where it's not going to be an entire ban on old vehicles. You should give persons the option to be able to do that, and if they want to invest the cost in bringing in the older vehicles despite the cost, then that's up to them. So I do appreciate it and wish him the very best in his endeavors. Now, continuing on, Kyla, we are living in very troubling times, as we all know, and the Rotary Club Sunrise of Rotown is launching, or has launched rather, the Power of One initiative. This initiative seeks to ultimately give persons in need, families in need, finances and food items, and we caught up with a director of service projects, Miss Faye Penn Smith, or Faye Smith Penn, who had a bit to share about this initiative. Take a look.
Thank you very much. Pleasant good morning. It is indeed a pleasure to speak about the Power of One. The Power of One is a community initiative in collaboration with the Rotary Club Sunrise of Rotown. This community initiative is geared at empowering persons within the community to make the community a better one. We can only make this community a better one by coming together in whatever way we can. The premise of the Power of One indicates that one person, one item, any one individual can make an impact, no matter how small or how great. One item can make an impact for one family. And as you can see, if you collectively, each items can certainly support a family during this critical time. So the Power of One, basically, one person, one vision, one mind, one group, one family. It could be a sponsor, it could be a donation. We are appealing to the community to reach out to persons in this time, post-COVID. Persons you may know that may have lost a job, or job may have been redundant. Please let us collectively help each other. In the past, we were each other's neighbors. And it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a family. So we are trying to foster a village concept where persons look out for each other. And the pandemic has brought us closer together. We are now trying to see how we can help each other. So we are appealing to business owners, we are appealing to individuals to sponsor. It could be $10 a month. It could be $50 to help towards grocery, $50 to help towards rent. You can make a donation by contacting persons of Rotary Club Sunrise of Rotown. Under the leadership of President Kenesha Boyles, we have wonderful persons that are comprised of the directors. We have secretaries, treasurers, and those list of persons will be listed at the end of this broadcast so that you can reach out to all of us. We thank you.
That was Rotary Club Sunrise Director Mrs. Faye Smith-Penn. Kyla, another organization, many other organizations rather, we think of Dr. Henry Jiraki, who has been given hundreds of meals throughout the territory to persons in need. This is an example of non-profit organizations coming to the forefront and really providing an avenue of support, and persons are encouraged to support the Rotary Club Sunrise of Rotown in this initiative. It's the Power of One. Simply, if it's one can item, if it's one pledge of an amount that you can afford, every amount will be going strictly towards families who are in need, many of them who are without jobs or their jobs have become redundant. So we want to wish them the very best and encourage persons to support. You can contact Director Faye Smith-Penn or any member of the Rotary Club Sunrise within regards to this initiative. We have to come together. It still takes a village, and I see this more than ever.
I do agree, Ron. At the end of the day, I think we have to remember that persons are still in need. Although we're out of lockdown, many persons are still struggling. And I love this initiative because it's literally just one. Yeah. Everything adds up. If it's simply one person being able to, as you said, give a pledge, give a can item, it might help someone so much, and you may even know. So definitely encouraging anyone. It also has other ways, the Family Support Network, yes. So many ways that you can give back to someone in need. So we definitely need to, as you said, as a community, come together and do it. Most definitely. So that's it for today's news roundup. Be sure to like us on Facebook at 284 Media and 284 BVI on Instagram as well as Twitter. Of course, it's always my pleasure. I am Kyla Kenesha Ford.
And I'm Ron Grant. We will see you again tomorrow as we deliver your daily dose of local, regional, and of course, international content. We're 284 News, your source for honest and impartial news right here on 284 Media out of the beautiful British Virgin Islands. Happy Wednesday, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Is business slow? Cash flow down? Hosting an upcoming event? We can help. Advertise with 284 Media and take your business or event to the next level by enhancing your present marketing and messaging strategies. Allow our team of experts to create a personalized ad that sets your business apart from all the rest. This could be your business or event. So, what are you waiting for? Contact our marketing team at 284media@cctbvi.com. Advertising with us works.